Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Shut Up and Do It podcast. A place you can come and hang out with us while we go through all things real estate and business and life with a focus on bringing you top quality guests and speakers, all who believe in a get it done or shut up and do it manner. I'm your host, Nick Alred, creator of the Complete Deal Flow System and a principal with the AA Real Estate Group. We're a fix and flipper and landlord based in Boston, Greater New England, and Pennsylvania and Ohio. Today, we have two really cool colleagues and friends that are joining us here. They're part of our mastermind together, and they are a nationally renowned couple that flipped over 600 homes. It's based in upstate New York. They started with their own set of challenges, which I'm sure we're going to hear about a couple today. That's what we do here. And now, having flipped over 600 homes, they have launched a national investing platform teaching people how to flip homes, which is actually called the Home Flipping Workshop. Very simple. I love it. Glenn and Amber Schworm, I'm so happy to have you guys on. Thank you for being on today.
Thanks, Nick. Glad
Thanks
to be here.
for having us.
Awesome. I love it. We very rarely have, couples together. And if they are, they're on like two separate cameras because they can't bear to be in the same room together. So I'm kind of excited about it.
It depends on the day for us. It really depends on the day. So today we're okay, but you never know.
Or even the portion of the day.
Yeah, or if it was this morning, we'd have been on separate cameras, but now we're in the same room. So we're covering each other today.
I love being real. So this is going to be a great episode because I think we have some really pertinent information, not necessarily focused in on total real estate here, but we're going to focus in on how to build some successful businesses while keeping the work-life balance, right? That's our topic today.
Totally.
So looking forward to it. And I love Glenn and Amber specifically because they are two of the most real people we have on this show. They keep it real. They don't try to make things fabulous and into, what we call social media world. It's all real today. So We love it. Glenn and Amber, why don't you start by, I know your story, but let's tell our listeners about your story, how you began in real estate and business.
Let me go.
Sure.
So my dad was a multi-millionaire, gave me all the money and did everything for me and just paid me money. It was great. We had to struggle from the beginning. There was nothing like that at all.
I was about to say, and that wraps up today's show.
My parents just left me all the money in the world. It was great.
We're trust fund kids.
Yeah, we're trust fund babies. And no. So we're a little bit sarcastic. We're from upstate New York. Just kind of how we roll. I'm sorry, but.
And we're feeling a little salty today.
We are. Yeah, a little salty today. So, so we started back in 2007, bought our first house. Amber and I are both going through divorces from our spouses. So if you've been through a divorce, you know that that's probably one of the worst times of your life. And so we were both going through divorces and
very emotionally charged.
Oh, baby. Yeah, very emotionally charged. Any given moment. Yeah. Can you pass me that nail over there? Shut up! All right, so that was kind of how
that song off the radio.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that song. Bon Jovi, one of those songs.
Never say goodbye.
Oh, the worst song going through divorce. Yeah, that comes on the job site. You're like, oh my God, shut it off. So it was, what a wonderful memory we're having already out of the gates today. What a great start we're off to. So, but we went through, go through divorces and we flipped our first house in 2007. And right during that, the housing crisis hit. So I think I love your topic, like shut up and do it. Because we were in the middle of it when the market tanked. And we're like, well, shit, what are we going to do now?
But we were desperate.
We were desperate. We had no money. Yeah, we were broke. Yeah, I joke around about having money. So I was brought up, I've been a business owner my whole life since I was 19 on my first company. Amber worked for
I worked for my family's company in Texas for 17 years. My dad owned a rubber stamp and engraving company. It was very glamorous.
But so we knew the life of a business. So I'd always been a business owner. And so I knew we wanted to flip houses. We wanted to do that. So fast forward to that, we got into the real estate. We went to a local seminar. We, like 8 people in the room. And I never forget the guy said, to be successful, you have to go on houses that she'll never go on. And he points at Amber. And I thought, you have no idea who you're pointing at there, buddy. And
don't judge a book by its cover. That's the lesson here.
She's tiny but mighty and fierce and nasty sometimes. Anyways, but we got started. We flipped that first house, and then the market yanked all the marketing all the money from us. So we did have a loan for our first house, a no doc loan, but we were down to our last $1,400 any place with that first flip. So we
Cash, credit, anything.
Yeah, any line of anything we had before our credit was going to start going bad again. We're maintaining multiple houses because now going through divorce, and I had 2 kids at the time, so I'm maintaining multiple houses and kids, and a little bit crazy. And we ended up selling that first house just in the nick of time. Like we had maybe 25 days left or 20 days left to pay bills, and we had no money. So we got that first flip done, made like 17 grand. And we're like, okay, it's a start. And so went to our next house, and then the market really started to tank. And so everybody said, get out of real estate, don't do real estate. And we're like, you know what, we're going to shove all in.
We didn't know any better either, though.
No.
Like we just figured houses are selling. And
yeah. So to me, I went back to a common sense thing. No matter how bad the economy is, people are still going to be buying a house to live in. like a first-time home buyer house. And not to be anything fancy, just a first time. That is the basis for a real estate economy, is first-time home buyers. That's really a big part of it. And I thought to myself, life still goes on, even in a bad economy, right? People still graduate from high school, graduate from college. People still have babies. People's families still get bigger. People still get bigger. People just want to have bigger stuff. And that just happens, right? So it just made common sense. So we lost all of our money. This is kind of the first real big challenge. We were 2 houses under contract to buy and flip. And I went to my buddy and said, hey, I have to get 2 more loans. And he said, yeah, those programs are gone. And I'm like, well, you can get me one. He goes, dude, they're gone. And literally all those programs we had that were for investors back then, back in the 2007 era, were gone. And we had to punt. So we had to figure out how to get private lenders. And we did. We figured out how to get a private lender. We put together a system to do that. And we found our first private lender. We actually used her home equity loan, or her home equity, to fuel our next 2 flips and got that going. And then we did like 1 that year, or we did 1 the first year, 3 houses the next year, 7 houses the next year, and on we went, right? It started to grow from there. So, in that year, I think we made like $400,000 or something like that, but we actually had a $3,500 or $3,800 loss, maybe a $4,000 loss on a house. And this is where we keep it real, right? We lost money on a house and we made some mistakes and didn't do it right. And so we've grown our business from there. And now our business runs pretty independently from us. We're involved, but not on a day-to-day basis. We have a great integrator that runs our business for us, and we'll do well over 100 deals this year. And Amber and I now spend a lot of time training and coaching other people how to do this. And, COVID knocked the crap out of us, man. I mean, COVID came along, we were starting to roll, and we kind of wanted to do some things. We were already buying houses over the phone. My team was working over the phone in the office. And then COVID came, they had to actually go home and work from home, not just in the office. And so that business got shut down. Our speaking business has been around for 4 years, our coaching business. That was a hotel type setting. And we were $80,000 into a marketing campaign for an event here in Albany. And 2 weeks out from the event, and good old Governor Cuomo said, no more events. He shut it down. So lost $80,000 right there. We literally spent a few weeks licking our wounds and trying to figure out how to get back on top. And it's been a bit of a journey the past few months, but we have managed to do it. We managed to run 5 businesses, along with we actually have 5 kids. I've got lots of children, but I have a couple grandkids too, actually, believe it or not. And crazy life we have now. So, now we're doing the homeschooling, not homeschooling, but
virtual schooling for our kids,
and all that stuff. So it's been crazy, but we managed to balance it all, stay sane for the most part. We came here today because we heard you were going to be talking to someone that knew how to balance life and all this stuff. So we're hoping you have a good speaker today.
That's it. Yes, we have a good professional coming in, a counselor, actually.
So that was a very long story. I'm sorry, but at least now you know who we are. So
no, I love it. I'm going to rewind a little bit. I'm going to say, so when did you both make the decision to how and when to scale the business, which is like, I'm assuming, hiring your first 1 or 2 people? Let's go back to your mindset.
You brought that up because as he's telling that story, I was thinking about that because it was after the year that we did 7, which I think was year 3. The next year we did what? Close to 20, I think it was. And because we grew so quickly, so fast, we had a lot of cracks in the armor and things started slipping through the cracks, and we grew too quickly and we didn't have the manpower in place to do it. And I found that I was pregnant that year with our youngest daughter.
All right.
So we actually at that point brought on a project manager that's a whole other story that we probably don't have time for today. But
I think we all had that story with our first project manager, I think. Anyway, continue.
Right. So we brought on a project manager at that point, and I think we brought on, actually before that, we brought on just kind of an assistant to start helping us with some paperwork and whatnot. But that I think is a real pivotal moment in people's business, because if they're going from just flipping a couple of houses on the side of what they're doing to scaling and maybe quitting their job and just doing real estate and investing, there are some tweaks there that you need to make and some people that you need to get on board if you want to be successful during that. That definitely was a time period where we had to really make some changes and improvements and think about what we wanted out of life and
changes. Yeah. Change from doing a couple flips to doing a lot of flips,
right.
If you want to do that. And like I said, it takes time to build a company so you can step away from it. But when you do that, that's the ultimate goal of most business people, or it should be, is to be able to eventually build a business where you can kind of step away and enjoy the profits from it and not have to be in the weeds.
It boils down to systems, people, and processes.
There it is. Say it again. What is it?
Systems, people, and processes in no particular order. Just you got to have all those things to be successful.
For sure.
If you want to stay sane. And balance, I mean, I think balance is I think you're unbalanced a lot. And I think what we try to do is just stay really present wherever we are at any given time, because there's sometimes where you're going to be more busy at work and less present at home. But when you're at home, be really present in that moment. So if you're like talking to your kids, put your phone down, turn your computer off, and look them in the eye and be really present with them, even if it's for 15 minutes a day. Just give them your undivided attention instead of trying to do 10 different things at once. And when we're at work, we try to stay in work mode. So rather than keep that balanced facade, because in your life, there's going to be a lot of times when things are out of balance, whether it's time that you're spending with your significant other or your kids or your business or whatever. But just stay really present and focused on where you are.
I think sometimes people, you're in your life, right? You've got a lot of things that we do. We have our health, we've got our businesses, we have our family, we've got our friends, we've got other things, whatever it is, your hobbies, whatever it is. Sometimes some things need us more than others. Sometimes our kids need us more. Sometimes our parents need us more, right? As they age. And sometimes friends might need us more if they're going through something tragic. And sometimes our business, and we have multiple businesses, sometimes one business needs us more than the other. And so we tend to put focus there. And I heard John Maxwell say many years ago, and it always stuck with me, that, balance, you're never totally balanced in any real one moment. What did you say? I'll just be balanced. Well, you're never really totally balanced. I think what we try and shoot for is look over the past week. Did you stay pretty balanced looking at a week? If you look at a day or a small period of time, you're never balanced. But look at a week, look at a month, and then look back at a year and say, over the year, did I spend equal amounts of time where I wanted to spend them? Because it won't be in a day. You won't say, today I'll spend 15 minutes with my wife, and then I'll spend 14 minutes with my son, and it doesn't happen. You can make all that. You can try and be as scheduled as you want, but it's not going to happen. But look back over the course of a chunk of time and say, was I balanced last week? Right? That's probably the best way to look at it. Was I balanced last week? Did I spend time with those people that were most important? Did I spend time on each one of my businesses with the important rocks in my business? And I think that if you do that, you'll start to feel like you've accomplished something. But if you start to say, I'll be balanced every single day, you will fail miserably.
Yeah, and with that being said, though, it is still important also to set your priorities and spend your time where your priorities are.
Of course.
And that may be with your business or with your family or with your kids. In the last couple, our kids just started virtual school yesterday and the day before. So that's been a challenge, and we felt very unbalanced, and we have to get our systems down and our routines even within that.
We feel unbalanced this morning? I didn't know. Was it the first fight or second fight we had this morning? Which one was it? Just curious.
But that's taken priority. And it's like for us, our family is our number one priority. That doesn't mean that we don't need to spend time on our business, because our business supports our family. Yeah. So it is a juggling act.
Yeah. And it's funny because I think the fact that all three of us have been through divorces, right? It almost adds another layer of intensity with knowing what it is we want out of life, and knowing that we want to make sure our kids have everything that they need. And it's funny because you're mentioning the balance day to day is hard. And I 100% agree. In fact, I don't even know if I believe in the word balance. I believe in almost like a harmony type thing. Yeah. If we can try.
Yeah.
But just having the conversation, I have been trying to, on a new routinely basis, make a very small deposit every single day into everything that's important to me. So I'll try to make, one or two different touches into people that I need to reach out to or I haven't reached out to in a long time. I want to make one significant moment with my kids, whether that's even just through, a video call that I send, to my ex, or if it's if we're in person, I can be on the trampoline with them for about 25 minutes. Sure. And then that all said, I had gone so far almost into my kid world that I almost lost sight of our 5 businesses too. So then I started just recently, 4 strategic strikes every single day. What are the 4 tiny little things that we can do to move the needle today? And I have to get those done at all costs. So your businesses that you both have, let's go back too. So on the scaling side, because we kind of jumped forward, which I love, sorry, we're jumping all over the place, but that's right. You scaled and you hired your individuals, your project manager, and then a personal assistant. Yeah. And then as you grew, what other businesses did you start and why did you start them?
So I'm not sure the order that they went in, but we have certainly our flipping business, Signature Home Buyers. Then we opened up, what was the next business we opened up? Probably the realty company.
The flipping company is definitely a foundational company. And then, we opened up our own brokerage just so we could list our own properties. We don't really push the brokerage in the traditional sense, but we're just doing so many. We
haven't done it yet.
At the time, though, we didn't start it for that reason.
And then we bought the local RIA here was actually the guy approached me and said, you got to buy this. I'm moving out of here. I said, I don't want another business. What do I want that for? And we took it from, 40 members a month, showing up to 150 members a month. We grew it rapidly. So that's been a great little, side source of income business for us. And then we opened up
the coaching company.
VestorPro. We're forgetting a company.
The
our holding company. So
holding
we actually have it's actually more than 5 companies. We have our holding company for all of we have, close to 50 single family, multifamily rentals we have in there. And now we have 7-ish Airbnbs in the past year. So we've been opening up the Airbnb market. That's a whole different animal. That's sort of a sub business under the other business, right? The holding business. And then 4 years ago was our coaching business that we opened up. And the main company name is VestorPro, but we put on the home flipping workshop. That's what we're known for. And that's always been my passion, Nick, is to help other people and train other people and to show them and teach them and to be real and to no bullshit. Just talk to people and tell them what it's about and show them what we do. And we pick a handful of students at every event to work with, and they work with us for a year or two and we help them. We've got a really high success rate of people that are out there flipping houses and doing wholesales and doing, building rental portfolios. And so we now get to showcase those, and they come to our events live. And we can talk about whenever you want to about how we survived COVID. That's a whole different getting knocked on your ass and get back up again. But especially with a coaching business that had to go virtual. But anyways, that's kind of the progression of the businesses. One sort of opened after the other. It wasn't like we just said, let's open 5 businesses. I think just as you are an entrepreneur, you see a need. Like I was paying another brokerage. I'm like, why are we paying other brokers? Let's just be our own brokerage. And it was like, well, when the guy came and said, listen, do you want to just attend the RIA or do you want to actually own it? I'm like, I don't know. And then I finally said, fine, I'll do it. I love to speak. I love the training. He's like, well, you started coming to speak. We all want to hear you now. So just speak. You just take it. I'm like, fine. So that business opened up. And then again, the rentals just opened up because I'm like, we have to have rental for retirement. That's what we're doing here, building wealth. And then, of course, the coaching has always been a long-term passion of mine.
Yeah, they're all pretty complementary businesses. A lot of them work in Symbiosis, which is really cool. We went to an Anthony Robbins event years ago that talked about, whatever your primary business is, find out what your clients need before, during, and after the sale and get in those businesses because they can all complement each other, which I always thought was really, really sound advice. The cool thing about the coaching company, though, is just from yourself flipping for years, like you do your first few deals and you're like super stoked and it's exciting and, you're going to the closing, you're getting those checks for $30, $40, $50, $60,000 and you're like super excited. But after a while, it just becomes kind of routine. That's just what you do. It's normal. And the cool thing,
you don't see the check; it just gets wired in now. It's
right.
It's because part of a business.
It's just kind of part of
like, oh my god,
a day in the life. And when we get to work with new students, whether they're brand new or whether they're experienced but want to scale their business, because like we talked about, that's a whole other ball of wax. But it has reignited our excitement for the industry because we get to see those new people getting excited and cashing their checks and changing their life and, all of a sudden making more in one deal than they made all year at their normal job. And then having like these life decisions that they get to choose. All right, am I going to become a real estate investor full time? And can I leave my job now? And, for couples to be able to work together and, like it's made it exciting for us again, which is a really cool side effect.
Yeah.
Yay, that is awesome. So when you were opening up these other branches, were you finding strategic people to put in place on those, or did you have that one integrator that helped put all those people into place?
Knew nothing about integrators. Knew nothing about that. Literally,
that would have been nice.
Yeah, that would have been nice. In the past year, so we've been learning a lot. We opened them up through pure bull force. We just opened it up and figured out how to make it work, and opened it up, and then find out that you don't realize how much those things will pull at you. And this year for us has been a real year about focus. Like, I think that I have had this massive awakening about focus and the power of focus. When I opened my coaching business, when we opened VestorPro, it took so much focus away from my flipping company that my flipping company suffered and we struggled. And the people didn't like that I wasn't spending time with them. And I didn't have an integrator that was running it. I had somebody there, but she was doing her best, but it wasn't the best fit. But we didn't really know to have the right person there to allow us to have some freedom, if that makes sense. So that's really what we have been learning. So to that point, this year has been a year of noticing and being aware of where my attention is, because you only have just so much attention a day. That's the one thing that every one of us has in common. That's the only thing, especially in today's world. My God, we're all over the place of who has what in common anymore, but we've all got 24 hours in a day. That's the one commonality we've all got. And so look back and said, look how much focus we put on this, or look how much focus we put on this business. Again, out of balance with the businesses. So Now we're starting to find integrators. I have one integrator for the flipping business. That's the most complex business. That's the most mechanics that are happening in there, right? That's really the integrator that is helping to build that business. Now I'm actually looking for one for Vestapro. I'm sort of on the lookout for someone to help us step in and run that, so I can literally just show up and speak. I love to speak, but I also do everything else. And while I'm speaking, I'm thinking about everything else going on. Did all the emails go out? Did all the thing go out? In our team, we have great team members and third-party vendors that do that for us. But I think that you have to be able to focus to be able to be balanced. Again, going back to balance, I like your word of harmony better, but you really have to be aware of where you're focusing, because if you're not aware of where you're focusing, you can't fix it, right? And the one thing we don't get back is time. So if we're out of balance and we're not focused on a certain business for a period of time, it will hurt that business. We'll never get that time back, or a relationship, or our children, or our parents, whatever it might be. We'll never get the time back. So we've got to make sure that we are aware of the focus. And I know when you first came on here, you wanted to talk to us about how we balance ourselves and everything. I don't know if you want to talk about that now, but that we can, or you want, I'll let you lead the conversation, but let me talk about that for a minute, but go ahead, you do your thing.
Yeah, no, this is exactly where we wanted to get. That's why I went into all your businesses and how you put people into place, because you're right. All of this leads in a really tough and or challenging, right? Harmonic or focused situation that we have, balance as we can call it. That's why I wanted to have this frank discussion with you, because we go through some of the same challenges, right? I mean, your and our business are very the same, just in different markets. Yeah. We have coaching, we have property management, we have the brokerage, we have the flipping company, and it's, this is being a real podcast. It's been challenging, especially as you both went through divorce, I went through a divorce, and now we're just trying to make sure we are present for our kids. So if it's not
and each other. Yep.
And each other, for sure. So, we're having a challenge or an emergency or a fire drill in one company. That means that for that day, unless we have someone specifically responsible to drive the needle in that other company, all the other companies will then suffer, right? So it becomes a matter for us, either more people or different people or better people, better process, right? People, process, and systems. Is that what you had said before? People, process, and systems.
Process and systems, same thing. So.
Yeah, same kind of thing.
Yeah. So now that we're back to balance and harmony again, talk to us about what you're going to say, Glenn, about your challenges.
Well, I think that we as a couple, to find balance in there, I think that you've got to be together from the top, right? You have to lead from the top. I think you have to be balanced from the top with each other. And our standard joke is that it's amazing what, 4 years and $25,000 in therapy can do for you. So I think that, we went through a lot of that because we're both type A personalities, and Amber had a lot of problems she had to fix. Uh-huh. And so I think it was really... So,
I think that's what Glenn thought when we first went to therapy. And then the therapist said, all right.
Oh, whatever. So, no, but I think it's really important that, whether it's your family, whether it's your business, whether it's your friendships, whatever, I think it's important that you got, as a couple, that you stay strong on top, right? You have to have that. If you're going to do it as a couple, you're going to work as a couple, you've got to stay balanced on the top, because if you don't, everything else will fall apart below you, because you won't be in sync. You can try and do it, but if you're not in harmony with your mate or your spouse or your business partner, whatever it is that you have that you're working with, if you don't have that, the rest of it will crumble.
You at least have to be on the same page and have the same kind of end goal in mind, and work together to accomplish that and support each other within your roles. That's also really important.
So that leads to the next thing, is that when that started to happen for us is back when we were flipping, right? So we're flipping, and we were in the early days. We were probably less than 10 houses at the time. We started to do things. We started realizing quickly that we were in each other's face all the time. I was second guessing things. She was second guessing me. And it was like, okay, shut up. Then that creates problems, right? Especially with people like us.
Two type A's,
right? So we had to figure out how to make that work. And one of the things we did was we had two kind of things. We both had to stay in our swim lanes. Here's your role. Here's your role. So I think it's important for your listeners to understand that if you're going to do it as a couple or a partnership, if it's more than just you, you've got to figure out what your role is and stay in your freaking role. Like, you've got to stay in that role. And trust the other person to stay in their role. If you don't trust the other person to be in their role, don't put them in that role, right? You've got to make sure you trust that role, because that's the only way you can grow and scale, is to be able to get in your lanes. And we also had veto power. And veto power meant that if one of us walked into a house and just wasn't feeling it, if I said, this does not feel right, something is just in my gut not right, we could say veto. The other one has the chance to do a rebuttal or defend their position once or twice, but don't press it too hard. Just say, listen, have you considered this? Have you considered this? And if the other person says, nah, I'm still a veto, we turn around and walk out of the house. And that was something that we did that was, I think, successful early on. that helped us to make sure that we were on the same page all the time, moving forward. Because it just happened last week, actually. We put a bid in the house. We didn't get it, but Amber really didn't want it, and I kind of wanted it.
He wasn't very happy with me for not wanting it.
I wasn't. No, I wasn't happy with the veto. She didn't veto it all out, but she said, you want to buy it, that's fine. I'm just not in love with it. And so it was kind of
I vetoed it for an Airbnb. I said, if you want to buy it for a rental or a flip, that's fine, but not for an Airbnb.
And, now we're good about that with the roles here. So a decade later, we're good about our roles. And so, for instance, Amber and our son, our oldest son, who's almost 21, they run the Airbnb side of our business. And about 2 months ago, they kicked me out. They said, listen, get out of here. We don't need your mouth yapping away in the meetings. We don't need you in here. So get out. Because as an entrepreneur, and Nick, you maybe can relate.
There were too many cooks in the kitchen.
We tend to complicate the shit out of things. We overthink, we overmanage, we overdo stuff, and then we end up causing more chaos. We think we have a wonderful idea. Try this, try that. And they're like, Jesus, I was on a path, man. Get out of my face. I'm doing something. So as entrepreneurs, at least my personality type is I jump in and I create more chaos. And so they were like, step out. And now that business is probably one of the most profitable dollar for dollar business that we have.
Yeah, Glenn's like an extreme visionary, but he's also, he can be in the room and conversational start and he'll be like, squirrel. It's very distracting.
All right. So in my defense, when everybody says,
shiny object, shiny object over there.
They'll go, oh my God, Glenn, with another idea. I go, listen, you're all living and getting money in my idea. So shut your pie hole. All right. So my idea started this whole company. So shut up. So.
What I wanted to add to that though, is one of the things that we've really learned throughout the years is also to hire where we're weak. And that is not just internally with our own employees or own staff, but it's also within like a business structure. So we've hired another company for our flipping company to kind of help structure it and make sure that we call it right butts in the right seats. Everybody takes a test to make sure that their personality profile is a good fit for the position. And, they come in quarterly and kind of evaluate us and where we are. And we've got, Glenn and I, neither one loves structure and meetings, which is part of our personality types. But when you're running a business, it's like super important. And so keep everybody on the same page and, rowing the boat in the same direction and all of that kind of stuff. So we love education. That's why we started the education company. And we're phenomenal, I think, at teaching people how to flip houses and even get their business going. But we're also, that's another area where we think we walk the talk. Yeah, right. Walk the talk.
Whatever you like to say.
In that we even bring on companies to help us get better too.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's necessary, right? We all need our coaches. Was that Sharper?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes,
Sharper.
Absolutely. He's one of the best, right? So
he really
They're
is
incredible.
Yeah.
We're having him on, I think, in about a month or so. I don't know when this will air. Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but I think with all that said, we all need coaches. We all need someone to push us and help us get better for sure. Yeah. And with what you're both mentioning, it's kind of powerful, right? If you think about what you have done. And Glenn, we're going to take the snapshot of everything that was just said between you and Amber, you too, because that was perfect. Because my COO and director of operations have been trying to push me out of things for a very long time. And I love to get back in and I love to talk process, even though I'm not a process person, but I was forced to become a process person because we're all type A. And now I'm like, I can just fix this if you do this and this and this and this. And then they just say, get the hell out of this meeting and we don't want you.
Get out of here. Yeah.
I get it.
You got to put the right people in the place and trust them and step out.
That's it. The trust is hard for type A, but we'll get there.
It is. It does not come easy, especially because it's our baby, right? It's our baby. We birthed it. We birthed the idea. We birthed it. All of us who are business owners, and we understand each other because we know the grind. We know the 24/7 on our brains. We know the risk. I was telling my team members yesterday in the coaching business that we do, I said, we take on, for people that work with us stuff, we have tuitions that can, sometimes in a weekend we've done $300,000, $800,000 in a weekend or whatever for tuition. We take a lot of students on, and the credit card companies, when we sign for those, we're personally on the hook for all that. So if we go out of business, I was telling her, I said, I don't know if you understand the risk we take. Like for instance, if all the credit cards we take, millions of dollars a year in credit card payments. If for some reason we go out of business and those people go back and say, we're not getting what we were promised, and they all stop paying their credit card, guess who they come back after? People forget, they got paid, they walk away. No. So you, as a business owner, we're on the hook constantly for all of our business. Whatever we do, we're on the hook. And so people forget that stress level that we have. So we tend to want to jump in and manage everything because we know that if something goes really south, we're on the hook. But the beauty for people like us is that once we figure that out and get the right person in there, it's freedom that we've always dreamed about. But when it's in front of us, we got to freaking take it. We want it, but we're scared as hell to reach out and take it.
And I would put the challenge out there, and Glenn just said it. It's hard to delegate and trust someone when it's not the right person. So when you have the right person, though, it's easier to give up that control, and you want to, and sometimes you might even have to be careful not to put too much on their plate. I think maybe even more importantly, it's more important for you to be involved in the systems aspect, because you can have the right person, but if they don't have the system to follow, they're still going to fail. So it's almost more important to have the system first and then put the right person in place.
I think you can relinquish control little by little too.
Yeah.
You handle this, now handle this, now handle this. And, again, I think, Amber, what we did with our integrator was we're like, here it is.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go.
And then, I was certainly still putting my nose back in, but at one point I'm like, holy crap. And then we actually had a meeting with Sharper, and they said, we went through everything. They said, this is in front of the whole company. He said, there's whatever, 12, 15 people on the call, whatever we had that day. And he said, just for signature home buyers, he said, if you don't get people in place to help Spencer, he's our integrator, he said, he's gone in 6 months. Either he's going to quit and get burned out, or you're going to fire him.
Yep.
And it was a solemn moment that we all sat back and said, But it's funny, when you have a coach that doesn't tell you what you want to hear, but tells you what you need to know, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
That's why we are such good coaches to our people, right? We pay a lot of money to have coaches, and those kind of people come in. It's not cheap, but they come in there, and every time that we have made an investment for our coaching, it's like, that's a big number. And then I think, but what's the return on that number?
Exactly.
The return on that number is freedom. The return on that number is more money, more process, more systems, so I can step away. We want to move to Florida. That's really a big thing for us. We want to move to Florida, but I can't do that unless we have those systems in place. And now that COVID came along, my business went virtual. Our business went virtual. So that has moved us another step in that direction, which has been, I've been saying throughout COVID, sometimes you think your worst day is your best day. You just don't know it yet. So you just don't know how things go in life. But that's part of being knocked down and get back up and shut up and do it, right? It's all part of that same mindset, is to say, listen, things happen to you. And when shit happens, you got to decide what you're going to do.
Yeah, it might suck. But you still got to get up.
Yep, for sure.
It will suck, but there's a gift in every knockdown,
Yeah.
right? There's a gift in every reset button. You just got to find it. We were just turned out, it's funny because, again, I don't know when this will air, but we had a massive commercial development project that we've been working on for 2.5 years. Ooh. And Monday, we were knocked down by the local planning board, right? So 2.5 years, about $200,000 is on the hook for this. And, at first I was like beside myself and pissed, but now it's like, as we go through these reset buttons more and more, which is, they all suck, right, Amber? They all suck, but you start to learn faster and faster that there's an upside here. So I let myself feel crappy and angry at the world for about 2 hours. And then I was so proud of myself. For 2 hours, I'm like, what's the benefit here? Well, the benefit is the planning board themselves just said that we were going to win this in court and probably get even more units than we wanted to the planning board. All right, so if I'm willing to fight this, we have to get a better project that has a better return, that it's better for the town. It's like, so it just takes a little bit more effort, So
I think what you said something very powerful there that I think, your listeners, if they didn't hear it, if you don't mind, I'm going to jump in and make sure they heard it, because you said within 2 hours you've got done. All of us fall down and get knocked down, and we lick our wounds. It's how long you want to lick your wounds before you get back up. And I think when you first start this process, when I was younger, I would be down and out and get depressed, and it might go on for weeks or months if it was bad. Yep. And then over time, you shorten the wound licking cycle, right? And then eventually get to a point where you can do it in hours, days, or I think the ultimate goal for us is to do it in the moment, right? If we can eventually, and sometimes we do, right? Every now and again, we have something bad and we're so busy, we're like, I don't have time for that bad. How do we fix it? All right, fix it. Good, move on. And we get that. And if you look back and reflect, you're like, hey, I did that. I did that in the moment. And that's where we want to get to. You haven't, it's, you're risking, hundreds of thousands of dollars and you take a couple hours. That's an awesome thing to say, hey, within 2 hours, I was licking my wounds, because we all do. I think people think, well, when I get knocked down, it just sucks to me. Those guys are successful. They don't know what it's like for me. Bullshit. We know what it's like 10 times more than you know what it's like, because we get knocked down more than you do. I don't even know all your story, Nick, and I guarantee you that you and I together have been knocked down hundreds and thousands of times. Little knockdowns, big knockdowns. The only reason we're here and successful and talking about it is because we just get back up. We're like freaking Rocky, baby. We just get back up.
I picked
self-promotion. Yep. Self-promotion.
Yeah. Don't quit. That's it.
I picked up on the exact same thing, that it took him 2 hours. And what I tell people is, don't get stuck in the emotion. If you need to give set a timer on your iPhone or, whatever, give yourself 30 minutes to cry or go punching bag or scream or whatever. But once that timer's up, move on and go into solution mode at that point. Don't sit there and wallow. We teach our kids solution mode. They get frustrated. Of course, they're children, but stay in solution mode. What's the solution here? Stop focusing on the problem and focus on the solution.
Yep.
Gosh, I'm going to point, because this is probably the most relevant topic we've ever had for the Shut Up and Do It podcast. Because for me, it was all about the getting out of the wound licking mode and shutting up and doing it up here. And that's why we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Both for just even mentioning all this. This is exactly what we wanted to push out. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
No problem. We live it.
A couple more quick questions before we get into what you're passionate about. But number one, so obviously we talked about balance and harmony and everything today. Do you have a specific routine, either daily or weekly, that you try to follow, you try to stick to set you up for success?
Try. I don't know.
I don't like the word try either. But
It's so funny. Yeah, I don't like. It's so funny. I went through phases of my life when I have routines. I do stuff. I'm not a routine guy. I am. I guess even not having a routine is a routine, right? So it depends on the time of year. So for me, in the summer, all summer, I get up in the morning, and the first thing I do is take my dog for about a 4-mile walk down by the river. We live kind of by a lock and by the Mohawk River, so I'll go down and do that on the bike path, and that's something I've gotten used to. Now, come wintertime, I have to find a new routine. But I try to do something for myself personally in the morning. I like to get up when I'm through sleeping. I don't let the alarm clock. Now with the kids being home, I'm able to do that more because we also used to take our kids back and forth to school. So I try and do something to take care of myself first to get my mind right. I'm not awesome at being regimented because I'm not a regiment. For me, I hate structure so much that I won't even put it on myself, right? I'm such a freak about it.
He'll be rebellious against himself.
I will. I'll rebel against me, which I know makes no sense. People are saying, he's crazy. Well, good. What I am, whatever. So I try to care of myself first. And Amber does the same thing. Yeah. When you have time, she tries to do her yoga and exercise first. And now that wintertime's coming, we sort of have a shift in how we're going to do those things. But ourselves first, we come to the office and, we deal with what we got to deal with. And I think we try to work on the important things. It doesn't always happen. I went to seminars, people are like, oh, that's what I do every time. I'm thinking, wow, you must be Superman. How do you do that? But the more I've gotten up, I realized that I just like to be honest with people and say, it's good to have a goal to shoot for, but it's not realistic to think you're going to hit it every day. And then when you don't hit it every day, don't beat yourself up. Just remember, tomorrow's a new day. Yeah, and there's days where, I'll have all the best intentions of the world of just like, knocking it out of the park and getting all my to-do list done and all that. And then, middle of the day, all these phone calls and problems and fires that need to be put out come up and I have to drop what I'm doing because that takes priority. I do love to work out in the mornings. The last 3 days, my kids were more important and getting them going on their virtual school. So I haven't worked out for 3 days. And, that takes a toll on my mental sanity. Yeah, that's a good word. Multiple personalities. Oh, whatevs. So, but again, there's that balance thing and you're out of balance. And I almost think balance is kind of like control. It's an illusion. Mm-hmm. Control is an illusion because the only thing we can control is our thoughts.
Very well said. Wow, Amber. Huge. Yeah.
Nick, I was thinking about this. We're both parents. I think that one of the things that I don't have it in my routine, but I really try to spend time. COVID has really opened my eyes to where I was spending my time. It's been a year about focus. And I've been really able to reconnect with my kids again to spend time with them, like just a little bit of quality time and sit down and play Legos and sit down, throw the ball with my 5-year-old, teach him how to throw and catch this year. That was a big deal. We swim a lot. Last night, I just looked at my 5-year-old and said, I'm going to the hot tub. He goes, yeah. So we both went and hung on the hot tub. And then he's like, you want to jump in the pool? And I turned the heater off in the pool. So I'm like, let's do it. So we jump in the pool, it's freezing. We jump back out, so we had fun. We did that together. But those are memories that to me, it's not on my checklist to do every day, but mentally speaking, I think there's some things you should try and do every day, right? It's take care of yourself, take care of your kids, decide what your priorities are, and then just spend a little time on those things. Even if it's 5 minutes, just do something every day and something that's important to you. And don't make it such a structured routine that you may not follow it, or you feel like if you get off the routine, you'll never get back on it. So just spend time with the important things, because at the end of the day, money's money. Listen, money comes and goes. Money buys a great lifestyle. There's no question about it. But at the end of the day, on your deathbed, money doesn't mean shit. What it means is your family. That's what it really means. Did you spend time with your family? Do they love you? They say, you know what? Dad did his best. Mom did their best, but they love me. They love me. And they brought me up and that kind of stuff. So.
I think something that's always been really important to Glenn and I is self-improvement. Like we're constantly trying to do better and challenge each other and pointing out when each other could do better and isn't. And, whether
polite, gentle way.
Not always.
This week, not so much. We've had some challenges this week. Let's just say that. But yes, most of the time we try and do it gently.
But, just the whole personal growth thing, whether it's in our relationship, whether it's growing in our business knowledge, whether it's growing as parents, we do not want to stay where we are. We always want to continue to do better.
Yeah, I think when you stop growing, well, I lost my dad a few years ago. And,
But a lot of people stop growing. A lot of people say,
know.
that's just the way I am. That's who I am. That's my normal. And they don't try to.
So I'll say I lost my dad a few years ago. And, my dad, at the end of his life, my dad was 86 when he passed. But when he's about 84, he said to me, Glennie, call me Glennie. He said, Glennie, he said, if I go tonight in this chair, I'm content. That's what I pray for. I'm like, Dad, don't do that. And he's like, what am I going to live for? He goes, I've done my job. I've raised 4 boys. I've a great wife. I don't want to outlive mommy. He called her mommy. He said, I don't want to live out your mom. He said, and he said, I just don't. And he had made up his mind. And I realized that in that moment that, and I was angry at him in that moment. But once I kind of came to grips with the fact that it's his life, it's his choice, is that, Dad, I forgot where I was going with that. I thought I got thinking about Dad there for a second.
Stop growing.
Stop growing. Thank you. Yes, sorry. That's kind of an emotional spot there for me in my head. But Dad, when you stop growing, you stop feeling like you're contributing to the world and you're not growing yourself, I think you die. I think that your body may not die right away, but you start that journey where you start going down.
Or at least be unhappy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're just kind of done. So I think for us, right now we're on our 3rd parenting book we're reading. We just got through reading the 5 Love Languages book, the 5 languages for kids. Now we're jumping back on to 1, 2, 3 Magic for the 2nd time to read that because we're struggling with some kids issues right now. So we're trying to be better parents. And I'm always reading books. I don't read them on Audible. I listen to books now because I'm old. But we're always trying to be better. So as you say that, I'm thinking to myself, I don't have a routine, but there are definitely things I do every day that I'm always trying to move the needle forward, right? Always in every business, I'm trying to move the needle forward. And even in my business today, the reason that I was actually a little bit tardy coming here today was that I've had to figure out how to change my business to go to virtual. And I've lost culture. I've lost some culture, and I was determined to not lose culture. So what I do is every Wednesday at 12:30, and today I moved it back just to make sure we did our thing here today, but I have a virtual lunch, where we come and talk about business or family or nothing. And we hang out for 30 minutes as a team and joke and laugh and just have fun. And I usually have my shake with me and I do my thing and they have their lunch and we sit down and just talk about the week. And that 30 minutes a week of invested time has made a huge difference in our business. So that's one more thing I do in the course of my week that helps to develop culture, right? I had to figure out a way to do that. So I think you just got to always make sure that you're investing time in the right areas. Me helping to close a deal or calling an attorney to help close something, so what? That's part of business. That doesn't do anything to really move the needle forward. It might make a few dollars. But I think investing in your people, investing in your culture, investing your time, that moves the needle forward because now they love you, they respect you, and they'll go out of their way to help you so you can actually have the freedom life that you've always wanted to. But you've got to invest that time in your people, whether it's your family, your friends, your parents, your kids, your employees, your investors, I don't care what it is, your business partners. If you invest that little bit of time every week, man, game changer.
I love it. Is there any project or, seminar or anything you're working on that you're super, super passionate, excited about before we close up?
I think for us, there's 2 things. One is we've been very passionate about our flipping company because it's starting to show signs of growing out of our area and being a bigger brand and also doing it without so much work from us. That's been passionate. But really for us, when we were knocked on our butts the worst, like I told you before, was I literally thought for a short period of time as I was licking my wounds, because I didn't know how I was going to make the event business fly. When the government says you can't get together for an event, and by the way, if you do, we're going to fine you. And then, by the way, everyone's freaking out and scared to death, so nobody wants to see anybody else, and no one wants to get together. So it's like, okay. And literally for 3 months, we were, dead in the water thinking, do I have to lay my people off? What am I going to do? Like, we had plans to do a lot of volume this year, millions of dollars, and help a lot of people, and I didn't know what to do. And it was literally on a Saturday morning that I saw an ad come through on Facebook about doing a virtual workshop. And I'm like, come on. I'm going to talk 3 days to a freaking camera? No way. That's not going to happen. And who's going to show up for that? I was actually laying in bed and I'm like, I remember walking out to Amber. She's outside by the pool. I said, let's listen to this webinar. I listened to a webinar about someone. I got about 40, 50 minutes in and I called my marketing company and said, okay, let's discuss. They said, yeah, we actually just tried this with somebody else, a big person, and she actually had some success. I said, wonder if we can do it. So we started, and now our business went from, we had to go regionally, and we had to spend $120,000 to $150,000 in TV marketing, radio marketing, all that stuff, just to get a handful of people. Sometimes we spend all that money and get 30 people to show up in a room, which, So that was tough. We'd be in these different cities. We're traveling away from our kids. We're leaving from a Thursday night, coming back on a Monday morning. Sometimes we're flying to cities, whatever. Our team's all flying in, all expense. We had to pay for all that. And all of a sudden, we just finished our third workshop just this past weekend. And, our marketing got cut down to maybe 60 grand on this particular one. We had 110 people there, something like that. We enrolled like 9 students out of that. We always pick the best to come with us. And the revenue side of it was fantastic. The expense side went down. And the beauty part is us and our team are home with their families at night. We're actually home with our kids at night. And I think if you never have traveled once a month away from your family, you don't understand maybe, but if you travel once a month, it might sound glorious. After the third time, it's not glorious. It's just you're just in a hotel. And you're just like, I'm in a hotel. I'm FaceTime, staying connected to my kids. And you get in this routine where you do your workshop and you do your thing. But I told people, I said, if you told me a year ago that I'd be sitting in front of a camera talking to 150 people around the country, we actually had people from Paris on last time, so I guess around the world, I would tell you that you were crazy. But now we're able to impact people all over the country and do it from home. And they're even saying, hey, and we'd never meet you if you didn't come out here. So we're from home. And so I, as the owner, can speak and train, not hire people to go out and do it. I can do it. I can do it once a month and not take away from my family time and still be able to be home at night with my kids and be able to impact so many people who come on board and say, this is amazing. Like we at the home flipping workshop, we give a ton of value for 3 days. I mean, a ton. We do virtual walkthroughs. Amber and I do a cocktail hour. We do a live cocktail hour. We make our own drink called the Vester Prosecco. And we make a drink that we sit and talk to 100 people virtually. And if people follow the mute rules, which is cool, we've had some really cool conversations and we're able to make a big impact. So if I'm passionate about something, yeah, we're actually, what we talk about in all of our marketing is that we help everyday people create wealth through real estate investing. That's really our thing. Help everyday people create wealth through real estate investing. Just like we did. We're just everyday people. We're nothing fancy. I joke around about being born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I wasn't even born with a wooden spoon in my mouth. We didn't have anything growing up. We were pretty poor. And so we help everyday people create wealth like we did. And now I can do that. We can do that on a national scale and do it right from our office in upstate New York, which blows my mind, but it's real. It's real. And I'm making an impact and people are leaving there going, this has been life-changing. And that to me, now it's a matter of how do we scale that? How do we get, 200 people in the room, 300, 400. And so by next year, we're hoping to have, at least 500 people, 400 to 500 people in every room because it's virtual, it's Zoom. I can do it. I have all my TVs set up. I got the cool stuff. I can see everybody's face and it's pretty wild. So that's what I'm passionate about.
Yeah, it's exciting to be able to reach that many more people instead of just, 30 people on a regional level in each city.
And be home.
Yeah.
And go home at night and actually before our kids go to bed most nights and go, hey guys. And normally we had to wait for a weekend and they hated it. My son would crap on the floor when he was a little boy. He hated it when Amber left. He just hated it. So it was hard. And now,
I had decided not to travel anymore actually because of the toll it was taking on the kids. And so for me, it's exciting because now I get the best of both worlds. I get to stay home with my kids and help people change their lives.
And like your book says, don't quit and shut up and do it. Like your podcast, that's what we had to do. And literally, we had nothing to work with. It was like you're shut down. Great. I don't even know what the hell to do now. I don't even know. What do I do? I don't even know what to do. And
how long is this going to last?
How long is it going to last?
Is it ever going to go away?
And now I think that virtual is going to be here to stay for maybe many years, maybe forever. Maybe people are now saying, if I can learn from home, why not?
That's it. We made the pivot too. Absolutely. I love it, you guys. That's awesome. We're slowly running out of time, but how is the best way they can get a hold of you guys?
So we tried to make it really easy because we do have a lot of different platforms we're on. So you can go to glennandamber.com and Glenn has 2 N's.
Or either one. If they spell it wrong, it still gets to me too.
It'll still go, but
glennandamber.com.
Glennandamber.com. That's got link to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, our website, the Home Flipping Workshop website, all that good stuff.
Yeah, we post lots of live stuff on Glenn and Amber Schworm on Facebook and all that stuff, but all those links are right there at glennandamber.com.
Our podcast, yep.
All that.
We're on YouTube, all that good stuff.
Plug your podcast. What do we got?
We have the Real Estate of Mind show with Glenn and Amber Schworm.
We go over, we're big believers in our workshops. We're big proponents of the fact that anybody can teach mechanics, but if you don't get the mindset piece right, it doesn't matter. So at our workshops, we teach, 50% mechanics, 50% mindset, and we dive in really hard. People that work with us after, they get coaches that are mindset coaches, and we're very different in that regard, that we spend a lot of time on that, because I know that mechanics are every place. You can go to YouTube and find mechanics, big deal. It's so easy. Why isn't everybody doing it? Because people are scared. We help them through all that. So that's a big difference what we do in our mindset and our podcast and all that kind of stuff. So
I love it. That's awesome. Glenn and Amber, thank you both so much for being here today. It's awesome. And
thanks for having us, Nick. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. All right, folks. Well, thank you all so much for taking part in another Shut Up and Do It episode where we brought as much value as we can. As you can saw, Glenn and Amber brought it today. We talked about lots of stuff on balance or the lack thereof, or if there's such a thing as balance, on harmony, on scaling businesses. We kind of went through the whole thing. It's just been awesome. So be sure to check out all the links that they mentioned in their show notes below. Also, Glenn and Amber, too, as a side note, you mentioned a couple of books there on parenting. Would love it. If you remember what those were, you can plug those right now, too, if you want.
Well, so the first one was, if you read 5 Love Languages, great for your relationship, actually, but they have a 5 Love Languages for kids, and that's really helpful. They have 5 languages for teenagers, very helpful. And then now we have little ones, so if you have little toddlers, we have how old are our kids? I don't even know anymore.
5, 7, 15, and almost 21.
All right. Yep. So the 5 and the 7. So 1, 2, 3 magic.
And then one of my favorite resources is a website called Aha Parenting. I love that one. That's a great.
Good one. I will be going to those right after this call, too. So that's awesome. Yeah, thank you all for listening for another episode. That was incredible. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons if you love this episode, and head on over to Shut Up and Do It Real Estate for all of our prior episodes here on the Shut Up and Do It podcast. Also, if you're local to the Boston market, be sure to take part in our newly launched REI Unleashed networking group, where we're quickly becoming the #1 resource for intermediate content, deal exchanging, and referrals. We'd love to see you there. Check us out at reiunleashed.com. Until next time, this is Glenn and Amber and Nick signing off. Boom! This is the awkward part. I never really got the sign-off part ever. So this is it. Just there.
Wonderful.
Peace out.
Peace out. Yeah.
Peace out. Peace out. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Shut Up and Do It podcast, the place where we bring... Shit. You'd think I'd get this down by 3 years later. Hold on.
No, that's the right opening. You should keep that. That's awesome. You get lots of people will love that, man. Ah, shit. What a great blooper.